Hello, my friends. Welcome back to English Stories Hub. Today's episode is dedicated to anyone who feels anxious or uneasy about speaking English. If you often find yourself understanding the language quite well, but feeling uncomfortable or hesitant when it's time to speak, this episode is for you. It's also for those who worry about their accents, believing that a different way of pronouncing words somehow makes their English less good. Many learners think their accent might prevent them from speaking confidently, and that fear can hold them back. If that sounds familiar, know that you are not alone. A lot of people around the world learning English share these feelings. They often believe that their grammar isn't perfect or that their pronunciation isn't accurate. And because of these thoughts, they speak less. Sometimes, they stay silent even when they actually know exactly what they want to say. The purpose of this episode is to help you change an important belief. And that belief is this: your accent isn't the real problem. Let me say that again, clearly and slowly. Your accent is not the issue. What truly causes hesitation and discomfort is the fear that often accompanies having an accent. From the very early stages of learning English, many are taught that the goal is to sound perfect like a native speaker. They are told that good English means having an American or British accent, and they start comparing themselves to those standards. They listen to movies, podcasts, and teachers, constantly measuring themselves against native speakers. Every comparison chips away at their confidence, making them feel smaller, less capable. Over time, this creates a strong belief that their accent indicates something wrong with their English. They think that mistakes are embarrassing or that confidence only comes after reaching perfect fluency. But here's a crucial point to understand. This way of thinking is wrong and, ultimately, harmful. English today is a global language, spoken by millions of people who didn't grow up speaking it natively. In fact, most conversations in English around the world happen between non-native speakers. People from different countries use English to work, study, travel, and connect each with their own unique accents. Think about busy airports, universities, offices, and online meetings. You'll hear many different accents, various rhythms, sounds, and speech patterns. And yet, people successfully understand each other and collaborate effectively. Now, so why do many of us feel that our accent is a problem? The answer is straightforward. We've been taught to aim for perfection instead of prioritizing clear communication. We focus on sounding correct rather than being easily understood. We judge ourselves before anyone else can judge us. When you believe your accent is holding you back, your body reacts, your voice becomes quieter, or you speak faster or slower than usual. Sometimes, you pause in the middle of sentences, or you change words because you're afraid of making mistakes. You might even decide not to speak at all. It's important to realize that none of this reflects on your intelligence or your ability to learn languages. It's about confidence in yourself and your right to express ideas. Here's something very important to remember. Your accent does not mean your English is poor. An accent is simply a sign that you learned a second language, something challenging and impressive. It shows effort, experience, and courage. People who have accents are not weak speakers. They are brave speakers. They use English despite it not being their first language. They think in one language and speak in another, something that takes time, patience, and lots of practice. But here's the key point. Fear can slow your progress. When you're afraid of your accent, you tend to practice less, which makes your improvement slower. And as progress slows, fear grows stronger. This creates a cycle that's hard to break. So, this episode is here to help you break that cycle. We're not going to try to erase your accent or chase the illusion of perfection. Instead, we're going to shift the focus. The new goal is clarity and confidence. Clarity means being understandable without stress. Confidence means giving yourself permission to speak even if your English isn't perfect. You don't need flawless pronunciation or a native-like accent to be clear or confident. Sometimes, speaking calmly, using simple sentences, and trusting yourself are enough. Many learners are surprised to learn that most people don't care as much about your accent as you think. Often, they're too busy thinking about what they want to say next. The message itself is what matters most. Many respectful listeners appreciate the effort and skill it takes to communicate in a second language. Remember, confidence does not depend on fluency. Confidence is what comes first. When you allow yourself to speak, you improve. And as your skills grow, so does your confidence. This is how genuine fluency is built. Many learners tend to rush because they feel nervous. They start speaking quickly to finish sentences faster, fearing mistakes. As a result, their words become unclear, sounds blend together, and understanding gets harder for the listener. Speaking more slowly can help in many ways. It makes your speech clearer, your sentences calmer, and it gives you more time to think. It also makes you appear more confident and natural. Speaking slowly does not mean you're speaking badly. Many strong speakers use pauses, breathe, and emphasize important words. Using simple sentences is also beneficial. Complex, long sentences with many ideas can confuse even native speakers when spoken. Clear, straightforward sentences are easier for listeners to follow and understand, especially when English isn't their first language. Paying attention to word stress is important, too. In English, some words are more important, and emphasizing these key words helps convey your meaning clearly. You don't need to pronounce every sound perfectly. Focusing on the main ideas makes your message easier to grasp. Many learners worry about tiny pronunciation details, repeating sounds over and over. But most listeners aren't concerned with minor nuances, they care about what you mean. As we wrap up, keep this simple idea in mind. Your accent is something to accept, not something to fix. There's no need to erase where you come from to speak good English. You do not have to sound like a native speaker to be clear, confident, and respected. What truly matters is that others can understand you and that you give yourself the freedom to speak without fear. Fluency isn't about perfection, it's about freedom, the freedom to speak, pause, repeat, and continue. It's about using English as a tool, not as a test. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of English Stories Hub. Your voice belongs here. Keep practicing, keep learning, and most importantly, keep believing in yourself. Bye for now.